All right, everybody. Welcome back to the 9 Years podcast. I'm Luke Draper, joined as always by the face of the BBC Sport website, Mr. Stuart Deacons. We have cemented our survival in League One. Don't know what anyone was worrying about. Easy as 53 points, job done, season over. That's the podcast for this week. See you all later. Thanks for tuning in. We will be talking about the 1-0 win at Wigan that, as we say, has secured our safety and another season in the third tier. We'll look ahead to the now completely meaningless game against Huddersfield next week. And there's lots of bits and pieces around the club to talk about, including perhaps some player news and some comings and goings, mostly goings at this stage. Let's be honest about that one. Women's team, under 18s, all the usual Wimbledon chat. But Stu, we shall start with Wigan. And, well, I haven't really given it much thought, to be honest with you. I know that Anton Hackford scored a goal. I'd still not really be too bothered if we do not maintain or retain his services next season, but he has scored the goal that has got us over the line. In truth, however, we've not stayed up because of a 1-0 win at Wigan. We stayed up because we've deserved to stay up over the course of the season, despite a very dodgy last 6 weeks or so.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's like really what we were saying previously on last week's podcast, that we had a run of games that were just shocking. We played Plymouth, Stockport, and Luton, and we were judging ourselves against them, which probably is a bit harsh. Although saying that, Port Vale went to Stockport this week and beat them, so you never know. But I think this was probably the team that was 3 or 4 places above us had already secured League One status. So in a way, it looked ideal. To be fair, we just bored Wigan to death, if I'm being truthful. Patrick Bauer returns, so we had Oggs, Johnson and Patrick Bauer, which is probably, if you look at defensively, probably one of our top. If we were going to say what 3 would you have, that might not be far off what we would have if we had everyone fit. And it was obviously Johnny went back to basics. He said on his post-match that he felt we were a bit too open. And we've said this before, that a Johnny Jackson team isn't all out attacking. And we actually had turned into that before we then started losing players against Peterborough and against Luton. So he went back to type, really, become really, really defensively strong, solid, good shape, bored Wigan to death, bored their fans to death. And then, amazingly, the thing that we've all been saying this season is Johnny's not strong point is substitutions. All 3 of his substitutions are involved in a goal. So, yeah, what do we know about football?
Absolutely nothing. Say it again. I just think the substitutions, yes, Sasu, great feat for the goal. It still boggles my mind that Aaron Sasu has not scored a goal for us. And I know people are listening going, he scored in the B Team trophy. That doesn't count. Okay. So it boggles my mind that Danilo Orsi, for example, is more prolific than Aaron Sasu. Toyosi Olasanya has more goals for AFC Wimbledon than Aaron Sasu. Chris Robertson, Sean Kelly, Josh Kelly, all these players have more goals for AFC Wimbledon than Sasu. But I just say it because he is. I know we've played him in a variety of positions. At some point, law of averages suggests something's just got to go in. Like he just has to be standing in the right place and the ball hits him and go in the goal. That's happened to Omar about 3 times this season. But it's just like, it doesn't happen for him. And I've never known, given the amount of games he has played for us, it is quite mad. But it does bring me back to my point, my age-old point about law of averages. We were going to win at some point. And we did.
Yeah, do you know what's interesting? Because I'm thinking obviously ahead to what's going to happen during the summer, because naturally we're probably predicting that the release list will probably be released next week, probably once the season's finished. If not before, a few clubs have done that already. So I was being nosy actually to Sasu. I mean, so minute-wise, 737 minutes. That's all he's played this year. He's had how many starts he had? He's had 8 starts this season. And he's come on as sub 13. So actually, it feels like in a way Sassu's been playing all season, but he hasn't really. He's been on the bench quite a bit. He's probably in those 8 games, he's probably played all 8 different positions. To be fair, and
Yeah.
you know what's really interesting? He's only just turned 21. I think this is the biggest thing that we have with Aaron Sassu is we think he's older because he's tall. He's been around the squad a long time. He's probably been a victim of his ability. And what I mean by that is that we've never sent him out on loan. He's always been probably too good to go out on loan, not enough to have a first team place.
Yeah.
I still believe he's someone you can work with, although we've got to work out what position we want to use him in. I still think he could be a really good wing back. I really do. I think he could be I don't think he's a forward. He wasn't a forward in the youth team. He was a wide right player, a winger, such. So I think the club and Johnny have got to be fair to Aaron and give him a position and say that's your position. And if he isn't good enough in that position, then we look at do we keep him. But at the moment, he's just being used everywhere, which is great to have that. It's great to have that ability to play different positions, but it probably doesn't do him any good in the long run. But yes, as you were saying, he was involved in a goal, good feet, cross. And you know what? For all of us moaning about Hackford about not being him, doesn't make an impact when he comes on, doesn't even make an impact when he starts. The movement for the goal is brilliant because he gets across his defender. It's a great finish.
It's an instinctive finish.
If Matty Stevens scores that, we go, that's a Matty Stevens goal, don't we? Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of, it's a really good goal. And I will say I was cheering like mad because I didn't see it coming. And when it did go in, the results were all going for us around the league. It was a perfect Saturday and an unexpected Saturday from my point of view.
Just quickly, Aaron Sassu, how many minutes did you say he's played?
737.
737.
Yeah.
He should be flying by now.
And to give you a little bit of a comparison, Riley Harbottle played 732 minutes. Don't know where from, and he left halfway through the season. So, yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? It's yeah. Although I did look at who's played the most minutes, and yeah, probably won't. Who do you think's played the most minutes this season in all competitions, barring the virtual trophy?
For AFC Wimbledon, or just in the whole of football?
In all football, AFC Wimbledon.
It's going to be one of two. It's going to be Ali Smith or Oggs. It's not going to be Oggs. It's going to be Ali Smith.
It's Oggs.
Oh, it is Oggs. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So the three that have done the most, top three. Ogdendeer with 4,154. Steve Seddon with 4,152.
Right.
So only 2 minutes in it, and Annie Smith was 4,121. Yeah, they're the three that have been ever standing in the team. And I'm probably not surprised if we're going to say what are your top 3 players in terms of minutes. I think we've probably got that.
Do you mean ever present, ever standing?
Yeah. Well, ever standing, it helps you standing up, I suppose, especially with our injury record.
Well, it helps if you're playing football.
Yeah. Ever present, but yeah, look, we need some. It's good to mix up some phrases and not be typical of these sort of like new football words that seem to come in terms of transitions and all that rubbish.
Absolute rubbish that it is. Hackford, the goal. Yes, I know what you're saying. For me, it's an instinctive finish because he makes the movement, but there's only one thing he can do in that position. And if you actually look back at his goals, he's got 3 goals for us this season. I think Barnsley was 1 and Port Vale was 1. And that was it, Wigan.
His first away goal this season.
Yeah, that's true. But they're all instinctive finishes. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, in those positions, just doesn't really have time to think. And I think that helps players out sometimes. I certainly think it helps a player like Anton Hackford out where he doesn't. I think you worry if he has time to think.
I agree, but when we've been saying that he's not made an impact. Like when he's come on as sub, when he started, it's not a run that I would expect him to make based on his performances recently.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's a when you look at it, it's a really good goal. It's a really good goal, and a really important goal. But That's all we needed. That's all we needed. And who'd have thought we'd go into Saturday as a dead rubber? We'd all said probably about 10 games ago, we would have thought Wigan would have been a dead rubber game in terms of we should have been safe well before now. But thankfully we are, and we can watch from afar. There's obviously a couple of teams that are fighting for their League One future.
Yeah, and we'll speak about those games in a moment. The key thing about Saturday I want to talk about was the fact that I felt this season, as well as we have done, it was a season lacking in moments. If you look back at the season, because you start to it now as the season winds down, and you kind of go, all right, what was the highlight of the season? What was our favourite game, favourite away game, all these sorts of things. And you're looking at it going, you know, we're actually a little bit short of moments. There was no cup upsets or anything like that. There was no big scalps. I know we beat Lincoln, but that was our first home game of the season, and it didn't have the same, you know, meaning around it at that point. Had that happened at Sincil Bank on a Good Friday, then yes, of course, that would be different. But so it was nice for us to have a moment where we've scored a late winner. I know we scored a late winner at Port Vale, but at that time, I mean, let's be honest, anyone could have scored a late winner at Port Vale. Port Vale shit at that moment in time. Wigan, 90th minute, goal that secures our safety. It was a moment, it rewarded all the fans that travelled, and it's something that people will look back at. And people will look back at this season and however long and go, oh, yeah, Wigan away. Yeah, I remember that one, because there has been little else.
I agree. I agree with me. I think in terms of moments, I think the only moments we have had is probably start of the season. You know, we obviously, like you say, we beat Lincoln at home, we beat
Reading away.
Barnsley at home, Reading away.
Yeah.
So I think and Doncaster away very early on as well, wasn't it? So I think we've had some moments in terms of maybe chunker games, but not enough, not enough. And it showed by how well we were doing. You know, at one point we could have gone top at some point, couldn't we? Probably September, October. But I think you're right. We haven't had a good cup run, even though we got to the latter stage of the virtual trophy, but no one's there for that. FA Cup run, Gateshead, and then they lost every other game, didn't they, until recent?
Yeah.
And the League Cup lost at Reading.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, you're right. But I suppose the moment is really as bad as probably as boring the game was to watch live on Saturday. That's probably our moment because it's guaranteed League One safety. And there's a lot of talk around at the moment that, you know, the last three playoff winners from League Two to League One got relegated. And we haven't. So staying up in the first season's really, really important. So we've done that, and now we get a chance to have a full summer, a full, you know, Craig Cope gets all the time in the world now to start thinking what he's going to do to improve the squad.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Just in terms of the first few games, as you said, we have great memory in terms of matches and results. Reading away was a happy memory and a good day out, but it didn't have that moment of a 90th minute winner. It didn't have that moment of Steve Seddon equalising at Kenilworth Road. It doesn't have that moment of, and this is a niche one. This is actually a very niche reference now, I think, talking to people listening to this podcast now. But it's not a Neil Shipley swinging it in with his cock at West Brom away in the 93rd minute. It's those moments. It's that moment of relief, of joy, everything mixed into one, and happy days. The squad. Well, here's a question for you in terms of stays and comings and goings and things like that. Who was not involved in the squad on Saturday at Wigan who could have been, as in who was fit and able to be involved but wasn't?
Jennings?
Yep. And
Osman Foyo?
Yeah.
Or was it?
I'm just going to say, yeah, no, he wasn't in the squad. So no more questions, Your Honour.
Joe, I think the thing is, I don't think they wanted to bring Kai Jennings back.
No, not at all. Didn't want to bring either of them back.
But they had no choice with the injuries, and also I think the cut-off was the 28th of March, so it's a case of going, we'd be stupid to not do it. Because, you know, could you imagine we got more...
We needed numbers.
Yeah, can you imagine we got more injuries, and then we go, and all the fans go, well, one second, why did you not bring him back? You're stupid. So it's the right thing to do. But I think he's being protected for next season. I really do.
Exactly.
Do you want him involved in a relegation battle? Do you want to he's had I was looking at his 8 goals and 3 assists at Sutton this season, 26 games. He's done well there.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. The thing that was interesting was a player that Sam Hutchinson on the bench again. Like he is our Darren Andon. Darren Andon always appeared when he was in. He was injured most of the season. All of a sudden turned up when the contract was ready. He just makes you laugh with Sam Hutchinson. I think the big call on Saturday was Joe McDonnell replacing our goalkeeper, Nathan Bishop. Joe,
There we go.
I always forget his name. It's really bad. Like I don't know. There's something about his name that just doesn't make me remember him.
Well, I don't know where to go with that one, if I'm being very honest with you. It was an unmemorable, immemorable name, forgettable name, Nathan Bishop.
But what make you laugh when we do the stadium tours midweek, because the timelines are a little bit, obviously we don't want to do a tour too early. We do find that Nathan Bishop and Joe McDonnell are there early. Goalkeepers are always there early. So he's a lovely fella. Like always he's always happy for people on the tour to ask him some questions. Really good. But I always forget his name because it just doesn't feel like a memorable name. So, but that's a really interesting decision, especially when Joy Jackson acknowledged that it wasn't because of injury; it was tactical, which makes you, he's on a 3-year contract. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is there much between them two?
Well, first of all, I just have to say this: "Goalkeepers Come Early" sounds like the title of a Trey Parker, Matt Stone film or a Wayne Brothers film. But the other question is, Joe McDonald has not really done anything wrong since he's come into the team and the appearances he's got. Conversely, he's not really had much to do, bizarrely.
Yeah.
So I think we can was it Leighton Orient who battered us in that second half? I think that's where he had a couple of dodgy moments. And other than that, like Wigan didn't have a shot on target. I think who else we had? Northampton didn't have anything to do, really.
Yeah.
Then for Blackpool. So
and that's the thing with
how
those
much can you judge?
And that's the thing with Bauer. For as much as Bauer is not a player who can last more than 60 minutes, but Oggs, Bauer, and Johnson is quite strong. And obviously, if Seddon plays left wing back, he's quite solid defensively on that side. So I think you're right. We minimise the actual, and this is one of the conversations about Nathan Bishop. Is people are going, has he done anything outstanding? But has he had to? That's the problem, isn't it? I think it's an interesting. I don't think there's going to be changing any goalkeeper. I think we'll keep the same 2 goalkeepers next season. I don't see any change in that. And it'll be the first time that Ashley Bays has had an opportunity to have a goalkeeper for the second season. Yeah. And we know he improves goalkeepers. I don't think Nathan Bishop's too bad a goalkeeper. I'm really intrigued to see how he comes out from the summer pre-season and get into next season, because we know Bezo improves goalkeepers, and it would just be interesting because we've not had this opportunity before.
I also think, and people can say and have a go at me and say I'm talking rubbish, which I know people will do, but there's also a case of much for muchness in reality. And this is what I mean about transfers when it comes to the summer. There's going to be so much movement in the summer, and the majority of it is going to be absolutely pointless, because it's going to be players that are pretty much of a similar standard. They're not going to necessarily weaken you if they leave you. They're not going to necessarily strengthen you if they join you. And I think goalkeepers, especially at our level, you're really telling me there's that much of a difference. Occasionally there is when you get someone like a Ramsdale in, for example. But otherwise, do we think if Lincoln had changed their goalkeepers this year, they wouldn't be top of the league? I doubt it. Do we think Stevenage would be best defence with that? No, probably not.
And that's the thing, isn't it? I can't recall who the PFA team of the year was in League One. I can't think. I think it might have been the goalkeeper at Lincoln. But then that tends to happen because they're the best team. So it doesn't mean it's the best goalkeeper. There's an argument that Owen Goodman wasn't as great as we thought because he had 24 clean sheets, but he was behind a really solid defence, wasn't it?
Exactly.
I think you're right. I think we're one of the few teams that have been in. I can't think off the top of my head, but we might be one of the few teams that has a permanent goalkeeper. There's a lot of lone goalkeepers in League One. We've gone away from that. I think the only goalkeeper I've seen I think has been really good was one of our ex-goalkeepers, Nathan Chop. Cardiff. I think he's got big all of a sudden. He's grown. He's obviously had his, been eating his 3 shredded wheats and stuff like that. But to me, he looks a very. If I was going to say a goalkeeper, could you pick a goalkeeper out of any other team? I probably would say Nathan Trott would be the one that I would say would be a real distinct improvement. But you're right, a lot of the others are much of a muchness.
Yeah. And well, anyway, it is, as we say, it is what it is. But it was interesting that was change made, and we see. I imagine that's a position that I guess Joe will keep his place for Huddersfield on Saturday, which also looks like to be a return to Plough Lane for another goalkeeper, Nick Zanov of all people, who has
Yeah.
turned up at Huddersfield and now looks set to play because he got 45 minutes on Saturday because their other goalkeeper is out, I think, now.
Oh, okay. It's interesting because you said that on one of our WhatsApp groups, and I was looking at Huddersfield and thinking if they can't get a playoff place, what their subs was like. I was thinking they're gonna, and I saw Nick Sadov, and I'm like, when did that happen?
Yeah.
I didn't realise he went off injured either. So okay, that makes a point. Even yeah, weird one, isn't it? Like yeah, Huddersfield, we're safe, but you have to think. Just as much as Wigan didn't really do much against us on Saturday, Huddersfield have literally fallen apart, haven't they? So it would be interesting. It would be a dead rubber, but it's something I think we'll win the game on Saturday just because of how bad Huddersfield are.
I don't know what's going to happen
It's a
on
difficult one,
Saturday.
isn't it? Yeah.
I think it could end up being one of those crazy games where there's loads of like a 5-5 draw because both teams are
Yeah.
just like,
A
we can't be
0-0
bothered.
or high scoring. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be a nil. Why would it be a nil? Why would either team try and play? Just go and attack. Just have fun. It doesn't mean anything. Like, just go and play attacking football, enjoy it. I think McKeng will probably, if Huddersfield play the way they normally do, which is to try and go on the front foot and be attacking, I think McKeng will have a field day because he'll get space to actually hurt team or hurt them. I can see it being anything. All depends, of course, on who we play.
Yeah.
Sam Hutchinson I think Sam Hutchinson will likely finish the game
Yeah.
because going back to what you said earlier, I don't think he can play 90 minutes at all. How he ever got 60 odd minutes out of him against Luton, I'll never know. And similarly
I
against
agree.
Burton. So I think we might just get him a sort of a nice send off at the end of Saturday's game.
Yeah, I think, in terms of, and it's difficult, isn't it? Because they might know who's being released before we do. So they might know
Yeah.
before Saturday who's being released. So, there's definitely arguments around do we keep Jay Reeves next year and stuff like that. But I expect Kai Jennings to play within that. And also, there's no pressure. There's been a lot of pressure on this team. Pressure
Yeah.
does a horrible thing to you, doesn't it? So, a game with no pressure. I think Huddersfield got more pressure on them because of how bad they are. I don't think their fans are going to travel in numbers. There's a lot of, Huddersfield think they're a bigger team than what they are.
Yeah.
I've been honest with you because they had a season in the Premier League. But as we know, that makes no difference because we're going to have Leicester City in our league who think they're too big for the league. Probably the first time we're going to welcome ex-Premier League champions to Plough Lane. How mad's that in a league game?
Yes, to Plough Lane it would be, yeah. And Huddersfield, yes. I mean, if you're looking at teams and who has had the worst season in the division, and yes, people will look at instinctively the relegated teams, but I look at Huddersfield and I go for the spend that they put in, to have fallen so far short.
Yeah.
Luton will be disappointed not to make the playoffs, but at least they've kept their season alive until the last game. They could still make the playoffs. Huddersfield nowhere near it. It's been a real. They've won 17, they've lost 15. Just a bit of a mini basket case in the division this season, if we're being honest with you, considering the quality they have.
Yeah, I think what they probably struggle with is obviously they got rid of the manager and they got Liam Manning in who's had personal issues and he's not. I think he's on gardening leave, so I think they've had issues with managers. Also losing Leo Castledine in January window, he was massive for them. He went to Middlesbrough, and I don't think he's featured much from Middlesbrough, which is an interesting one. And they let Joe Taylor go to Wigan, which again,
Wigan,
I think. But then that a case of if you look at Alfie May there and their forward line, and again, it's probably a club that has really good individuals, don't have a good team.
Yeah.
It's the old argument, isn't it? You can pay shitloads of money to players. It doesn't mean because you pay them loads they're going to play well. Sometimes they become a little bit stagnant. So yeah, I noticed with Huddersfield there was a release from their chairman, basically saying that this won't happen again next year. We're going to be prudent. But apparently Huddersfield fans said that the year before and the year before that. So yeah, I think there's a bit of unrest in that. But hey, look, it's a dead rubber. Hopefully we win the game and finish the season strong.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to see what we do with the squad on Saturday, because I think there are some players, we mentioned them earlier, that would love to see out the season, but also probably in need of rest. And there's no point in putting them through another 90 minutes if there's no need for them to do so, which there obviously isn't on Saturday. Do you want to have a look around the division now? Because there is still a lot to play for. As you mentioned earlier, Port Vale won at Stockport, which kept a third playoff spot up for grabs going into the final day, because Stockport could still fall out, although I'm not expecting them to, but they could do. And we're looking at 3 from 5. So Stockport, Bradford, Stevenage, Luton and Plymouth. Luton go to Bolton. Bolton might well want to rest some players ahead of the playoffs, keep some, do a little bit of rotation. Stevenage at home to Wigan. You think if they need a result, they would get one.
Yeah.
Bradford might be the ones that drop out. Away at Exeter, who need the win, and they don't travel well.
No. Joe, I don't think Bolton are going weak. See, the thing is, when you're a playoffs, you want to have the home advantage. It's tight in there. Bolton got 75, Stockport and Bradford both got 74, Stevenage 72. So I think Bolton would want to be fair, they finished the season really well. I think they go strong because I think they want that guaranteed home second leg in the playoffs. But you're right, it's so tight. It's so tight. I think, if I'm being honest with you, I think teams will want to avoid Stevenage because they've got the best home record. I think it probably will stay as it is. Maybe Luton sneak in there. I'm not too sure, but it's the teams that have missed out, isn't it? The Huddersfield missed out, Reading missed out, Mansfield made a mad. Mansfield have finished the season strong.
Fair play to them, yeah.
And also Wickham, like I was thinking before we started doing a podcast, like I reckon we could have finished with 60 points, 63 points. I think we probably lost out on maybe 9-10 points that we could have probably got if we hadn't got the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
That probably puts us to where Wickham are. And Wickham spent a lot of money. I don't know if you saw the interview with Michael Dunn, who's the Wigan manager. Michael Duff, sorry. Dunn? Where did I get Dunn from? He basically said the players have wasted 10 months of their life. I was like, mate,
wow,
that's harsh because they do more than play football. But I suppose in their football career, he's like, you've wasted 10 months because they have got a hefty budget and they finished no higher. They finished one place above Barnsley, who have openly admitted they're not going to have a great budget for next season. So it's interesting. One thing I was going to say, by the way, the 3 teams, Port Vale are not bottom of the league anymore.
No.
They're actually, finished in 22nd place. I noticed that Northampton, Rotherham and Port Vale all have less than 1 point per game for the whole season.
Yeah, and they will do by the end of it, yeah.
It's mad. I've not looked at other seasons, but it feels like that's a really low point tally. And Northampton finishing on 35 points, like that is serious. And there must be concerns that they may drop. It might be another Carlisle or someone like that because that's a really poor season.
They have finished the season appallingly, and at the moment you'd say Port Vale finishing in fairly good form. So
strong,
take that into next season. Northampton, you do worry about, but also Northampton, like I said to you a few weeks ago, Northampton just have bounced around these 2 divisions forever. And sometimes they have promotion seasons, sometimes in the 4th tier they have really bad seasons and they do struggle against relegation. I remember going there on Valentine's Day many years ago and they were bottom of the league and they beat us to help their survival chances. So it's just that's where they are. And there's a lot of these clubs like Port Vale pretty much for a good 20-25 years now have been doing the same, bouncing around these 2 divisions. Rotherham are the ones that had that little spell of being the championship
Yeah,
What's the word? What is the word?
the yo-yo team.
Thank you.
To be fair,
Uh,
Rotherham, I thought they would do well this year. Again, that's one surprises for me. But and when we beat them early, we beat them early in the season 2-1 at home, which I thought was a good win. Against a team that would be mid-table, but it's proved nothing like that.
but they didn't they have major injury problems at the start of the season as well.
They did.
Whereas I think the
Blackpool had major injury problems as well, so those
yeah,
wins were good at the time.
yeah. Yes, absolutely. You've got to take the points where they are on offer, which we did do. Blackpool, we beat 2-0 with 2 goals from Danilo Orsi, so they must have been struggling
Do you
because,
know what? I don't know if you've seen the goal. So Barnsley played Leyton Orient, or sorry, not Barnsley. Bradford played Leyton Orient at home. If ever a team is likely to go down, Bradford got two teams that start with B. So Blackpool got a penalty. It hit the post, hit the goalkeeper's backside and went in. And
I can
just
see that.
go, those are moments.
Those are moments that if you're an Exeter fan, you're watching and going, "This team are going down," because when those moments go against you. But then who knows? It's up for grabs now, as they say. Leyton Orient, they host Burton on the last
That's
day.
right. Yeah.
Burton have got nothing to play for now. And as we say,
Yeah.
Exeter, 4 unbeaten at home to Bradford. Who knows?
You
We'll
have to
have to
say,
see.
If Leyton Orient go down, that would be the biggest turnaround from one season to the next. They were
Yeah,
one game away from getting promoted to the Championship.
yeah,
Charlton secured their safety in a Championship this weekend as well. So that's I did say that, and not that I like to be proven right, but I did say when you have so many lone players and you
yeah,
lose them, it's such a big turnover. Because I think Richie Wellens is a decent manager.
yeah.
So yeah, all interesting. But isn't it nice? We can look at the league and go this and that, and we know we are safe.
We know that it's not going to affect us this season. Now, what will affect us is next season, which I think is going to be a bit of a struggle. And obviously, we can look more at this when we know more over the coming weeks. But I'm looking at, well, I'm hoping, I'm not hoping because I like them as a club, so hopefully they'll be all right. But I'm thinking that Sheffield Wednesday next season are going to be struggling. Another points deduction potentially incoming. Lots to unpick there and sort out for them. So no one's expecting Sheffield Wednesday, I think, to go and bounce straight back up. Leicester, well, massive financial worries, but you still expect them to be okay. I mean, people should be that surprised. We are still in the same century when Leicester were last in the third tier, but I think people have forgotten that they were in the third tier about 20-ish years ago,
Yeah.
before their rise to win Premier League, win the FA Cup, and what have you. Oxford, you'd expect to be strong because I don't think they're a club that have bankrolled anything. Do you know what I mean? They've not put their financial security on the line or anything like that. So you think they'd come down, manager that knows the league, they'll be okay, they'll be fine. It's what worries me more is what's coming up from underneath.
It's interesting, right? Because Leicester, I think, have got massive problems. They won't go into administration, but they've got enough assets.
Yeah,
But they don't have cash in the bank. Put it that way. They're not going to have
yeah,
any playoffs. They're not going to have any what they call it, parachute payments.
parachute payments.
They've already mortgaged them out. Got no transfer stuff coming in. I would have said about 5 or 6 years ago, a club like Leicester coming to League One would do okay, but we know the salaries are way out.
Mm,
I think Oxford might even have a bigger salary than Leicester next year, possibly. And
mm,
it's going to be a complete rebuild. It's going to be a complete rebuild for them. So
yeah,
it would be interesting to see. You're right. So what's coming up? Bromley definitely. Which, let's be fair, that's a great achievement. Absolutely mad achievement.
I'm not giving them any credit. I hate them.
Hey, look, you have to say with the squad they've got and they've done extremely well. Franchise, not a surprise. They spent heavily. They should.
Yes,
They should go up, and they haven't. So, and it's one of three at the moment: Cambridge, Salford, or Notts County. Um, I would have to say Cambridge would be my preference.
yes, they would
So
be
I
the
think,
ones most likely to struggle, not struggle, but be towards the bottom end of the,
yeah,
the
you've got to look at it that
third
way.
tier. Yeah,
Salford would spend money.
yeah.
I'm not too sure about Notts County.
They'll be fine at this. They'll be fine.
Yeah, they're one of the oldest clubs in the football league, aren't they? I'm not too sure whether they bankroll
No,
much. But yeah,
but I think I think they'd be fine. I don't think relegation would bother them if they was to come up.
no. So you got them, and then the playoff wise between Grimsby, Chesterfield, Swindon, and Barnet, who Barnet have made a late surge.
But Barnet can't do it.
I think on goal difference, I think they can get up. They can
No,
hit.
because I think Swindon play Chesterfield. So whatever
Right.
happens, it means that Barnet can't do it. Unfortunately
Okay,
for
so
them.
mathematically they can, but the fixture wise is yeah.
Yeah.
But they have made an unbelievable. Um, yeah, they beat Gillingham 6-1. Was it 5-1, 6-1,
6-2.
6-2? Gillingham again, big spenders in League Two.
Yeah.
Swindon looks like they're self-combusting within. Looks like Ian Holloway's got a touchline ban, and they think he's going a bit doolappy. So it's
Yeah.
interesting. Chesterfield we used to look as being a real strong team, didn't we? But
Yeah.
yeah, let's see. Hey, look, I'm really pleased. I always worried that we go back into League Two and it'd be a really different picture to what we left it in. Thankfully, we know we've got at least another season of not being in League Two, which pleases me. And they can sort themselves out down there.
You see that Gillingham cancelled their end of season player awards because
I
of
saw
the
that.
absolutely horrendous season. I think they started the season with this long unbeaten run, didn't they? They set the record for their longest unbeaten run, and
They
then
did.
when they lost, it all just fell apart, and they've just been an absolute basket case since then. But who would cancel their end of season awards? It just seems
Well,
a
no,
silly thing to do. They wouldn't do that if they were in the playoff positions, would they?
no. Maybe did we postponement, cancellation, same thing? I don't know.
No, they've cancelled. They've cancelled it. That's true. They've cancelled it.
But of course, ours now are back on.
Yay!
You know what? I'm really, really pleased we're doing it because I think the play, we can all say we've stayed up by the skin of our teeth, but we also know to stay up in League One was something that was our objective at the start of the season. We all you and I both done the podcast early on and went, wow, this fixture list looks tough.
Yes.
So for us to stay up, I think it's really important that we celebrate it. I really do. I think Johnny Jackson's done a great job. And they were, to be fair. So it'd be nice to have a celebration, and then they get a nice, maybe for what, 6-7 weeks. Bearing in mind they probably were off about 2 or 3 weeks last summer. So yeah, all
Yeah,
need to
that's a
rest
big
up.
difference. Yeah.
All rest up. But I know we've stayed up by the skin of our teeth, but it's still a great achievement, no matter how we've done it. To stay in League One with the teams and the budgets in this league is amazing, really.
My only thing about these end of season awards is, and it's been a bit of a bugbear of mine ever since we reformed as AFC Wimbledon, is that I always think you you limit the amount of people that can take part in something, and by that I mean Player of the Year and Most Improved Player of the Year or Young Player of the Year, whichever awards we end up doing, whatever. I think they should be announced before kickoff on that final game. Now, here's the problem. I actually think I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here. You want to maximize the amount of people that are there to have that moment, to celebrate that moment with that player. So if they've won Player of the Year, you want as many people as possible to give them, to tip their hat to them, give them a round of applause, whatever it might be. Okay.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, this would be before kickoff on that final game of the season, like it always used to be. But as I said last week, no fucker is in the stadium before kickoff anymore. They're all in the fan zone. So there'll be no one there to watch it anyway. So I don't know what the answer is, but
No, you're right.
I feel like if we said 10 minutes before kickoff or 5 minutes before kickoff, we're going to present the award to this person, I think then people would probably come in and get in early to see it. I don't know where, because to be honest with you, I get lost. I know we used to do the show up there, and I've been in them several times. I get lost as to what's the second floor, first floor, the 1889 lounge, the blue and yellow lounge, the Robbie Earl lounge, the Alexa Bliss lounge. I don't know which one's which. The third floor, which I don't want to hear the words third floor ever again, to be honest with you. I'm sick of hearing about it, or its existence or non-existence or whatever it is. But wherever the awards will be, you are limiting capacity to that as well, which is, I find, a shame.
Yeah, so the club have released today. Obviously, we're recording this on a Thursday evening. The club have released the plan. So the plan is that it'll be in the 1889 lounge. It will also be shown on screens around the ground. So it'll be shown
Which one
down.
is the 1889? Which one
So
is that?
the 1889 is basically the big lounge, the big conference room, holds 400 people, and it has said. So the club have said that all hospitality will get first choice. So there's 650 in hospitality, excuse me, on Saturday, so they will get first dibs. And then after that, people queuing up will then get in. So its capacity is 400. I know last time we did it, we did open up the third floor, which is the conferencing, the networking bit that they have, and there was people on the balcony watching over. But they've also said it's going to be on Don's TV live. It's going to be out around the stadium. I don't. You probably didn't see this, but there was a new big screen in the fan zone that was on Saturday. So there's
I've seen this, yeah.
yeah. So that's going to be on that as well. So I think it's always good. Hopefully the weather should be nice. So you will get people that don't really want to go upstairs into that. I will be happy in the Phoenix or in the fan zone. So even though there's a 400 capacity, last time, from my memory, anyone that wanted to get in got in, and it was a good party. It was it was a really well done event. And also people that want to leave early or stuff like that, or not go in for whatever reason, can watch it on Don's TV. Starts at 6 o'clock. I am with you though, and maybe that's where we are a bit old school still. Is that the old player of the year on the pitch is probably my preference. But you're right. I don't even think if you said to people get in early 5 minutes, I still don't think they would, if I'm being honest with you, because I think they're just too busy having getting a drink. So I agree with you. I would prefer maybe players player of the year, young player of the year on the pitch, and then the supporter player of the year and all that sort of stuff. It's not sport player of the year, the players player and stuff like that. Which I always think players player is. If I was a player, I would always value the players player. That would be my preference because that's your peers, isn't it? Even though I think Steve Senna walks away with most awards this year.
Yeah. I think we're expecting, we kind of already sort of know what it's likely the outcome will be. But, well, we shall find out on Saturday.
And now for something completely different.
Thankfully, my son doesn't understand international football because I was going to buy him. These are my moans, right? I was going to buy him the Panini sticker book. What the hell? The sticker books now are like £2 or something. I remember the day I used to be able to get them for like 15p. Like, yeah.
Yep.
I want my son to understand sticker albums and all the stuff that I enjoyed when I was younger. But no, I'm not paying that sort of money.
Do you know why sticker books are great, though? Because they are physical things in your hands that you can actually touch and feel. All right.
Well, I did see. I did see. Apparently, Chelsea and I think it might be Man United. Their players are not in the sticker album. I'm guessing because of image rights. What the hell is that all about? Like, so as soon as I saw that, I'm like, not that I like Chelsea or Man U, but it's not a proper sticker album. It's basically just the ones that don't have image rights. Yeah, football is just all about money.
I heard that Newcastle players' faces won't appear in a sticker book either, but that's because their owners have chopped their heads off for disappointing their fans this season. Because as we all know, Newcastle are owned by a vile regime.
Well, again, not to go off topic, but I did notice that the LIV, which is obviously a Qatar thing, isn't it? They're reducing their money in the golf next season. So obviously with the current...
Hold on. You're going to have to explain this to me. In the golf GULF or the golf GOLF?
Sorry, GOLF. So right. a lot of the top pro golfers went to LIV, which is part of the Qatar money thing, but they're reducing their funding because, of course, we don't discuss political things, but some of the Middle East are struggling with certain money operations. So Newcastle might be one that might wish they weren't owned by a government, not a government, by a country. Anyway, that's politics on the side of it, but yeah.
Be careful what you wish for. I just hear the letters LIV. I think of Liv. I think of Liv Morgan, and that's going to cause me some trouble. But we shall move on because if you haven't already realised, listeners, we are unscripted this week. So where this podcast goes, nobody knows. So from Kits, one other thing in the terms of football being fucked, as it were, and something you raised the other day, which I was thinking about similarly the other day, they might as well now, and I would actually prefer them to drop the 3 p.m. blackout. I have done a 180 on this one because forever I was like, no, never drop it. It's going to. I've actually come to the conclusion it's not actually going to make that much of a difference on attendances. People still love our away attendances have gone through the roof this season. I don't think that will change if games are screened at 3 p.m. To be honest with you, I'm just sick of these stupid kickoff times. And I was thinking I didn't get a chance to do it, but I already know next season Milton Keynes 2 games we've got kicking off at 12:30, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Don't know how many others we're going to have. And I was looking at Coventry City, and I might I'm going to research this properly. I don't know the last time they had a Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff because
No.
Sky were desperate to have them on TV for the moment they got promotion or the moment they won the title. As if anyone really gives a fuck about seeing that live, to be honest with you, outside of Coventry fans, most of whom will be inside the stadium. So yeah, I think we just drop it now and get our
Yeah.
Saturday 3 p.m.s back.
I think it will be. You know, I was looking on socials this week, and apparently, I think for like Step, like the Ishram Prem League or the Conference South, their attendances were really, really high. So it was always there to protect non-league. But I think what's happening is a lot of fans that maybe went to Premiership clubs or even Championship clubs can't afford it, and they're dropping out. And the the good thing about non-league, right, is you can go and have a drink you can watch the game with a drink in your hand, and there's a lot of things that
on a terrace.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that non-league gives you that if you're an old style football fan, you like.
Yeah.
But I agree, like, because I noticed that all the games on this Saturday are being streamed. They already stream it. If there's an international weekend, they can do that. So again, I've not looked, but the amount of games that have probably been streamed on a Saturday at 3 o'clock, probably the highest it's ever been. So just my attitude is, I think they will do because they're worried about the legal fire sticks that are just costing.
Yeah.
I think if they do it, they've just got to bring down what these subs are, because the subscriptions are just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous to have 5 subs.
That's still a big problem. For me, it doesn't do away games. I would love to have the option to spend, I don't know, a tenner to watch an away game. Probably won't, do you know what I mean? But for me, that would be great at 3 o'clock. And that's being from a very selfish point of view. But if we look at football, it's going to happen. If it doesn't happen next season, it'll be the one after.
Saw people on social media again this week talking about why does everyone hate the Premier League and talking about how it's been so boring and things like that. And my point is because it is over exposed and there's too many games. You can watch game after game after game. You can't do that. If they're all at 3 o'clock, then if you are sitting watching a TV, you're just going to choose one and watch it. You can't do it you can't keep moving these fixtures all over the place. It just kills any enthusiasm. Man United Brentford on a Monday night, 8 o'clock. Who wants that? Nobody. Literally nobody.
It's a weird one because I love my football and I can watch football all day long, but I don't. I think the other night there was 3 games on at the same time that I wouldn't mind watching. But I think to myself, in a way, I wish they would just make the choice for me, not have all these games on.
Yeah.
And I would just watch them. I did watch the PSG Bayern Munich game, which was just, wow, 5-4 to PSG. And Joe Watt showed up the Premier League because it was literally attack after attack after attack. No, the goalkeeper didn't pass out they didn't do the 10 passes around the back. They just literally attacked each other. And it was like, this is exciting. I know they're 2 top teams, but we keep saying we've got the best league in the world, but we bore everyone to death, don't we? On that side. But yeah, the Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff, I think will end. Wouldn't surprise me next season.
Something else that will come to an end next season, I'm afraid to tell you this, Stu, is Richard Osman-Foyo's House of Games. We shall replace it next year, but we've still got a couple of weeks left. And I thought, in honour of our forthcoming final game of the season, I would do a test of your knowledge. I will give you points. I will give you 1 point if you can tell me the opponent we had on a certain season-ending game. I'll give you another point if you can tell me the score of that game.
Wow, this will be interesting.
And bonus point if you can give me all the names of all the goal scorers in that fixture. So let's start I'm going to see if you can start with the final game of Wimbledon FC in 2001, 2002.
I might be wrong here, but Barnsley does ring a bell with me. But that might
It
have been
was
the final.
Barnsley.
It might have been a final home game.
No, it was that was it.
Barnsley. I can't remember the score. If I'm being honest with you, I think we lost 2-0 to Barnsley.
Nearly. It was 1-0. It was just the 1-0.
The boring end of season, end of Wimbledon. Well, yeah.
Yes, the famous Peter Hawkins situation.
Oh yeah,
Some
yeah.
very...
Oh, the Bruce Forsyth. Yeah, it's such a big chin.
I didn't see that coming. Tell you what, blimey, look at the subs who came on that day for us. Adam Nowland,
Yeah,
Nigel Rio Coker,
yeah.
Des Byrne.
Crikey, the Irish one, wasn't he? Yeah.
Geez. The goal scorer for Barnsley. Any guesses?
Redfern.
No.
That
No,
might
he
be a
wasn't
bit
given
earlier.
time. Yeah. It was Mike Sheeran, if you remember
Wow.
him. Formerly of Manchester City, I think.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Chris Morgan was playing for them at centre half that day.
Yeah, it's
Other
when you look
notable
back.
names: Isaiah Rankin and Bruce Dyer, which is still one of my favourite footballing stories about a Crystal Palace fan who remarked upon watching Bruce Dyer play for his team, who remarked Bruce Dyer couldn't be any worse if his name was Bruce Completely Fucking Useless.
Love it.
Okay, what about? And this one I'm gonna have to investigate a little bit more. So how about 1993-94?
Wow, that's going back a bit, isn't it? 93, 94. I know we relegated a few teams, didn't we? Is that the year we relegated Sunderland?
No, it's earlier than that.
Coventry?
No.
I'm trying to think of the games we had. Remember, we relegated teams. We did that quite a bit, but whether they were the last games, I can't recall. No, I can't think what it is.
It's a very, very famous one.
Famous one?
It's a very, very. It's probably arguably the most famous final day of the season we've ever been involved in, other than something else.
Oh, away at Everton.
There we go.
Oh,
What
crikey, it's
was?
been interesting. 3-2.
It was 3-2.
For us,
Remember who scored that day?
For us, it was Andy Clark,
Yeah.
Dean Holsworth.
Yeah. There's some arguments about an own goal, wasn't there?
For them, it would have been Graham Stewart.
Yeah.
Limpar.
Mm,
Limpar not scored. Did he
no.
get a penalty?
Graham Stewart got two.
Oh, okay. I can't think who got the other one then. Limpar might have won a penalty.
Yeah.
Was it a penalty?
It was Barry. Yeah, there was a penalty. Yeah, the first goal was a penalty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Barry Horn was the guy with the worldie. Went in off the post from like 25 yards.
Yes. The one that Seegers died for was to get him and didn't move at all for it.
Yeah.
Although the stories, I watched an interview, like I think it was like Under the Cosh or something. They had an old, who did they have? Oh, it was Dean Holsworth they had. And he was talking about I think as time comes out, more and more stuff's revealed about that. But he said like apparently John Fashanu was slashed with a knife apparently on the way into the ground.
Wow.
He said it was probably one of the most scariest things.
I can imagine.
But he said, yeah, they coming off the coach and they got like a single file, and he said he got slashed, not heavily, but it went through the back of it cut his clove at the back of it. But he said like, yeah, Dean Ellsworth was talking about that a lot. A really good, to be fair, really good if you get a chance under the cosh, really good stuff about Wimbledon and stuff like that.
All right, 1999-2000.
1990. Oh, that when we got relegated against Southampton. Goal scorer. Mate, I can't. Do you know what? I try and forget as much as I can from that game. 1-0 we lost. I
No.
can't think. Do we not lose 1-0? 2-0.
No, 2-0.
Again, I've switched off from that game. I felt like we lost. I felt like we lost the game when they scored the first goal. That's probably what I still say. No, I can't. I can't think of any of the goal scorers. I try not to remember that day too much at all if I can help it.
It was Wayne Bridge and Marion Pahars.
Joe, I was going to say I think it was a foreign player, which probably sounds a bit, but yeah, I can remember. I can remember it wasn't an English player. Bless.
Last one, 2003, 2004.
Which have been our second season in the combined counties.
Yeah.
We finished. Who did we finish against? I'm thinking Rains Park Vale.
That was the season before.
It would have been Wallingford. Was it Wallingford?
It was Wallingford.
Which would have been when we beat them at home for the first time then, probably. Second time.
Second time. And
3-2?
Not quite. So 3-2 was when we beat them for the first time at Kingsmeadow the season before. We beat them 2-1 on the final day of the following season. It was technically an away fixture. They moved the game from Hithercroft. Any ideas of goal scorers?
Kevin Kleber?
Nope. Would you believe no?
Matt Everard?
Nope.
Who scored? I'm trying to think who we had in that season. Sidwell?
Nope. Two players that were play at a higher level for us. So two players we didn't. No, it's a good guess though. Could be here for a while.
Yeah, no, I can't think. I can't think who it would have been.
Jamie Taylor scored one.
Oh, mate, yes.
And Gareth Graham got the winner.
Wow. He was at Plough Lane recently as well, so...
yeah.
Yeah, do you know what? Those Waddington games, like... I was saying this on the tour the other day, like, some of the games we had that were massive games... No, that's right. Someone was asking me, an American fan was asking me who our sort of rivals were, who our derbies were, and I kept saying, well, because we kept going up so quick through the leagues, we never stuck around long enough.
Yeah.
So I was saying Crawley probably because they hated us because when they won the league, we were the big story, even because we got through the playoffs. So they hated that for us. But I was also talking about Waddingford, Chelmsford, those rivalries we had. And Waddingford was the first one, wasn't it? Like, did they have like a massive forward up front? Was it Shieldrick or someone?
Something like that.
They had Shane Small King, didn't they, as well, at the first bit until we stole him.
We stole him.
I've got the footage actually to one of the game. It's it's a part of our history that probably a lot of newer fans don't understand of it, but it was really pivotal, wasn't it, back then?
Our biggest rivals, of course, non-league. Bromley, Stu. How could you forget Bromley? Hate Bromley.
Well, it's just, again, it's what I was saying the other day. It's probably, we've played them in most of the divisions. I don't think we played them in League Two. We didn't play them in Conference, from memory.
No,
but we played in Ryman Prem, didn't we?
Yep.
And now we're going to play a level 3 in the Football League. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh,
well. Well done us. Not well done, Crawley. Well done us.
And not well done, Bromley, either. Bradley Ward was the goal scorer for Wallingford. Who can forget Bradley Ward before he went on to present The Chase and Gladiators?
They were such a niggly side, weren't they? Do you know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't for them, we'd have gone up in the first season.
Exactly. No, it wasn't them. It was with Dean 2000. With Dean 2000.
Yeah, the money people. It was all like Fisher Athletic. There was so many teams with money.
Every season. Every year there was one. We got there in the end.
Yes.
Well, that is that for this week, I think, Stu. We've already looked at Huddersfield. We don't need to go in depth, really, to be honest with you. Updates from the game will be on Nazi Twitter. The Dons Trust won't be, and they're not on Discord anymore either, apparently.
They've disappeared.
They've disappeared from Discord.